Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you Sunday, August 30th. The year's 2020. Let's talk trading. It's time for the weekly open and gap. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine. Trading is extremely risky. You can lose all of your money. If you need trading, investment, or financial advice, seek the advice of an accredited financial professional. And one other thing that's important, never lose more on a single trade than you're willing to lose on a trade. Also, no fear, no regret, and always take some profit when you can before the market takes it back. Now, we start off with the weekly open gap. And some of the newer traders are new to my channel, new to me, have been asking about this because I think they don't quite understand how simple it is. And you can see here on a weekly chart, this is the weekly open here. And here is the previous week's close. So the previous week closed at 133.49. Okay. And let's see. And according to this, we've had a high of 133.45, so we haven't quite filled that gap. And the open was at 133.30. So there was a difference of about what? 18 pips there. Close 49. Open 30. So difference 18, 19 pips. Because I just round up from the points. So the bid is going to need to get up to that close of 133.49 for that gap to have closed or fill. And usually these weekly gaps fill, because at the end of the week, usually all you see is fill, fill, fill. There's been a couple of weeks where we've had, two or more that didn't fill, but those are pretty rare instances. And we can see that when we move through the charts here. But that's it. When the price opens on a Sunday or early Monday, depending on where you are in the world, there's usually this gap. Now, the other thing you have to look at is look at these spreads. These spreads are whacked. They're way out of proportion. So, for example, on the pound, when it opened, it opened at 30. The bid was 30, but the ask was something like 44, 45, I think. It's a huge spread. So it was basically untradeable. But you can see here the spread's narrowing down. But some of these others, like the 9 pips on the yen, it's not really tradable. So you don't, sometimes, even though there's this huge gap, you don't get to take advantage of it. But there are times though when it gaps, say this, so the pound gap down. Now, if the pound continues to go down and then the spread tightens and starts to go up, then you can still fade that gap. And what I mean by fade is you trade toward it. So that's just how that open gap works. So that's why I tried to be here right when the market opened, shoot this video so you guys can maybe take advantage of it. And here on the daily chart, once again, you can see price gap down. There's the open, there's the close. You can see that huge gap down. But for the year, we're up 99 pips right now. So if you look at, this is what price has done this year on the pound dollar. So you can see that's a lot of movement. And once again, so for the month, we're up 267 pips. For the year, 99, now 268. And for the week and day, we're just up 13 pips above the open. once again showing how price opened here, and it opened way below the previous close. And for this week inside bars, I only see a few on the daily. We've got a few on the weekly, but the monthly looks like we've got a bunch that you can take advantage of. But this is going to be, the month's going to be over. So those inside bar breaks on the monthly levels might be real interesting come next month. And once again, we're just starting out, so the ranges aren't anywhere near. Now here on the buy zone, you can see the pivot was right near the buy zone, so there was no real bias. And once again, with that 14 pip spread, I mean, it opened here. It actually the ask was above that, so it wasn't tradable. And the range is too low on the rat zone, so not to be considered. But if we look at the pivots here, let's go down to M5. I think we can get some lines to draw here. But you can see we're way above the weekly pivot. We're also above the daily pivot here. So we're going to look for price to drop and take out those pivots. Maybe not today. So here's a daily pivot, 1.3296. Call it 97. Weekly 1.32527, call it 53. So you might want to fade toward the pivot. So once again, you trade from the open toward the pivot, and that's called fading the pivot. So in today's case, you had conflicting signals depending if you look at everything. So we opened below Friday's close, so you'd want to fade toward the close. But we opened above the pivot, so you'd want to fade towards the pivot. So you have to decide which one you want to trade at the moment. So if you're a pivot trader, you look for a reason to go short. And in this case, if you're fading the gap, you look for a reason to go long based on the current price action. And there's no reason you can't do both. And you can see here, we missed 2 weekly pivots last month. It looks like. We missed one here 5 weeks ago and 8 weeks ago. Something to keep in mind. Wick zone, we haven't quite entered the wick zone yet. And the range, once again, only 15 pips so far today. That will obviously get bigger. We had a nice 170 on Friday, which was at the 91 percentile, meaning out of the last 100 days, 91 were less than 170. Here, once again, with these types of spreads, it's just time to watch. You can see these crazy gaps. And when you see these type of gaps, these usually wind up filling at some point in time. So remember, when you're trading these MT4 charts, these are bid charts. They only show the bid. So you can see the bid jumped from here to here. There's this gap, this type of gap that's waiting to be filled, just like there's a gap here. But I believe I saw the ask was just about 153, which was up here. So we still have this gap right in this area. And you can see how price is just gapping right now because it's, like you said, Sunday/Monday, depending on where you are. And there's really not much going on for about the first 2 to 3 hours. You have to wait for this spread to get back to normal. And then that's when the trading starts to resume. Oh, I still have the all the TRO mods here on the semaphore chart, and you show TR mods. False. Okay, let's turn off a few others here. Show trade lines. Training wheels true. I thought, that's interesting. I thought when I turned off the TRO mods, trend lines, false. I think I turned everything on. Maybe I should just reload that template. Take care of that. And see, once again, you see that spread went up. The bid here. So like I said, things are going to go crazy for a while, and we'll see if it will settle back down. Trying to remember if there was any questions out there. Once again, some of the new traders, welcome aboard. I've received a few emails about mentoring. And the thing is, what I tell everybody here in the videos, that's what I tell you if you were sitting right next to me. There's no difference. There's no secrets held back or anything like that. There's no trading boot camp seminar that I put on that you can attend for thousands of dollars. I'm not one of those guys. So, no, if you have a question, you can ask it in the comments of the videos, or you can go out to my Facebook group there and post your question there. Or you can go out to crush.com. That's where I post my code. And I'll try to answer your question. Or somebody else might even jump in. But as far as anything else, no, I can't do a chat room because I live in the country. I'm here in the Oregon, Southern Oregon. I'm about 5 miles east of the Pacific Ocean, up a country road that goes from paved to gravel. It wouldn't make sense for them to run a fiber optic cable or just a regular cable up here. I mean, within a 1 mile radius of where I live, there's only maybe 12 people. So, and that's not 12 families, that's 12 people. I mean, we all have 40 acres or more up here. So, we're far apart, and it just wouldn't be cost effective for a phone company or cable company to drop that cable. And so I'm relying on cellular, off the cell phone. I can turn my cell phone into a hotspot, or I've got a MiFi device from Verizon, and that's how I communicate with the internet. Satellite, you've got a 2 second delay, so you can't trade with a 2 second delay. I mean, that would just be suicide. And once again, you can see the pip here is the spread here is like 10.3 pips. It's just not tradable. So all you can do is watch at the moment. Now look at that. The spread just tightened a bit. So, fellow traders, that's it here on the weekly open and gap. I hope you're having a good month. I hope you have a good week trading, profitable across the board. And just remember, I'm not forcing anybody out there to trade like I trade. I'm just offering it. And if you like what you see, then you can trade it, because if you don't have to. And just remember, never forget, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. TheRumpledOne.